Hey, what's up guys, happy new year, it's Matt today, talking about Aquaman. I was kind of struggling with like, what am I going to do for my first video 2019? I had a few ideas, and then I saw some absolutely shocking news. Aquaman, somehow, is now the highest grossing DC EU movie to date. At the time of me recording this, it has earned 940 million US dollars worldwide. Like, how? I don't understand it. So my quick thoughts on Aquaman are, the visual effects are quite good. At no point like previous DC EU movies was I like, oh my god, like this is CGI overload. And they had to be good because all the underwater stuff, like Atlantis as a whole, this film basically heavily relied on CGI, like it needed CGI. So the CGI had to be good, and for the most part it is good. There were only a couple of times throughout the film where I was kind of like, ugh, but never to the same scale that I had with, say, the final battle in Wonder Woman, where I was just like, oh my god, the CGI is just too much. Aquaman does a very good job throughout, so I'll give it props to that. The story is a little bit weak. It doesn't really know where I mean, it's kind of like a treasure hunt almost. Like the characters just go from A to B to C to B to D to B. Bit of back and forth. And at times it tries to raise the sort of story up a bit. Tries to like overcomplicate itself at times, where really it's quite straightforward, and I think the film realises that it's trying to overcomplicate things and then it draws it back, but it just kind of gets a little bit annoying. I was very surprised by the cast in this movie. You've got, I mean, obviously Jason Momoa and Amber Heard. Yeah, they're basically just the eye candy for the movie. Jason Momoa for the ladies, Amber Heard for the lads, or vice versa, depending on your persuasion. Thank God Amber Heard is in this movie, because Jason Momoa can't really act. He can like deliver the odd witty one-liner, but beyond that he's not so great, and his interactions with Amber Heard and kind of Amber Heard's reactions to everything, is her acting basically saves the movie. The movie mainly follows them two. Other notable cast members include Willem Dafoe, who I had no idea was in this movie, and I don't feel that Willem Dafoe was utilised to the best of his potential. He's one of those actors who has like a really, really sort of amazing like face. Like the stuff that he can do with his face is incredible. Yet for the most part, he appears in flashbacks and he's been like airbrushed young. I mean, it looks good. Like I said, the special effects in this movie are good, but like, you're not using Willem Dafoe to his full potential there, really. Other surprise, Dolph Lundgren's in this movie. I don't know, he didn't really do much. He just stood around, looked big, and was Dolph Lundgren. I just thought it was quite funny that he was in the movie. And then finally, I suppose the other big one, you had Nicole Kidman as Queen Atlanna, Aquaman's mum. Why is Nicole Kidman in this movie? I would have thought after she had done Batman Forever that she'd be off superhero movies forever. Like, I get the whole superhero movie landscape has changed a hell of a lot since Batman Forever nearly destroyed it forever. But still, like, why is she in this movie? She does an okay job. She doesn't really act too much, she kind of just kicks ass with a trident. One of the main criticisms of the whole DCEU is, following on from Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, is that it was trying to take itself too seriously. It was trying to be too dark and gritty and too serious. Aquaman is going the complete other way with it. It does not take itself seriously at all. And at times that works for it. It's quirky, it's funny, it's comic booky, it just kind of happens, but it's not doing anything special. I would compare it to Thor Ragnarok. Again, you know, that was very comic booky. It was trying not to take itself too seriously, even though it was dealing with, in terms of the comics, some of Thor's darkest material. However, that was an absolute riot. Whereas with Aquaman, I don't know, I just kind of sat there and I just watched it, and I was just like, right, okay. Like, I didn't enjoy it, even though it wanted me to. I was just like, yeah. We were first introduced to Jason Momoa's Aquaman during Justice League. He is very different in this to how he was in Justice League. I get that they're obviously trying to change the tone of the character. I mean, he wasn't too serious in Justice League. He was kind of the comic relief in Justice League. They're trying to make him a bit more serious in here because he doesn't want to deal with Atlantis and he doesn't want to rise up and be king. He just felt like a different character to me, though. Of course, you can't talk about any superhero movie without talking about its villains. So we have two villains in this movie. We have Black Manta, and then we also have the Ocean Master, who is the current king of Atlantis, Arthur's, Aquaman's half-brother. Black Manta is kind of one of the bigger Aquaman villains from the comics. This movie is clearly sort of just introducing him, and I guess he's going to play a bigger part in subsequent Aquaman movies if those happen. I feel he was kind of underutilized here. He was just someone for Aquaman to kind of have some recurring beef with, and I don't know, I don't think it was really necessary. I feel that they've not done that character justice. He could have just been like any other sort of slightly overpowered henchman, really. However, I'm not a big fan of the Aquaman comics, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Aquaman fans will be like, oh yeah, they nailed him, that's just what he's like. For me personally, I feel that he could have been used as a bigger villain in another movie. Ocean Master, I mean, yeah, he's okay. You kind of get where he's coming from. He's like, oh, the surface world is polluting the world too much. You know what? It's about time that we just kill them all and sort of save the planet. I mean, we could maybe try talking to people first. I think maybe if they'd lent more heavy into the whole environmentalist side and sort of pushed more his belief in his missions, maybe. But it was just kind of like, oh, we're doing it to save the environment, but I'm going to kill everyone. But why? Why are you doing that? So I guess giving this film a rating, I mean, like I said, it wasn't terrible. It didn't take itself too seriously. I mean, there's a scene where there is a octopus drumming. Like, it's daft. It's trying to be quirky. I just don't think it's daft and as quirky as some of the stuff, like I mentioned before, Thor Ragnarok, that Marvel have come out with. So, yeah, I'm like neither here nor there with Aquaman. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. I just don't understand how this movie is the highest grossing DC EU movie. I know it gets a lot of hate, but Man of Steel, I think for me, is still just the best DC EU movie that they've made to date. It was obviously the start of this whole thing, but it wasn't trying to universe build or anything like that. It was just trying to tell a good, sort of darker, real-world Superman story, and I thought it did that in bucket loads. But obviously, the DCEU itself is just kind of an overarching mess. They don't really know what they're doing, and they're not telling anyone what they're doing. They've got like standalone movies coming out that don't link to anything, such as this Joaquin Joker movie. But then we've got Shazam coming out. Henry Cavill's no longer Superman. Ben Affleck is apparently not going to be Batman in the Batman movie that Matt Reeves is directing, which is set to start filming this year. I think DC just need to get their shit in order, basically. There we go. First video 2019. As I said, wasn't going to do it. I'm just baffled. I'm just generally baffled how this is the highest grossing DC EU movie to date. I don't understand it. But there we go. So, have you seen Aquaman? Let me know down in the comments what you thought about it. I mean, you know, it's got a good score, like a good audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's like 80% as it stands. Critics are at 65%. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on the movie down below. Why did you enjoy it? If you enjoyed it, or why you didn't enjoy it if you didn't enjoy it. As always, if you've enjoyed the video, do give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel, as I'll be doing more videos like this in the future. And I will see you very soon. Take care.